starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What up?
Yo!
Ha!
We are back in his house. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Kiss Meets the Podcast 4K, the crazy Kiss down, you one of the best. I am one of your hosts, Eli Clausen.
And I'm Luke Neely.
And I am some pregnant lady.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
I hope not. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Oh, come on.
Not this late in the game. The rest of it was fine, but like, I'm ready.
This week, we finally wrap up the solo album string of things with Ace Frehley here. And then finally, we get back into the main discography next week. Looking forward to that already. But first of all, gee, 1 week off, rusty. So yeah, finally some Kiss news after a long time. I think pretty much everyone knows if you're a Kiss fan. A few days back, Kiss started teasing an announcement on the website, Facebook, all that stuff. Well, today, today, the announcement was finally officially made. Kind of had an inkling that it was going to be along these lines, but they announced that on New Year's Eve, of all things, they're performing a live concert on the internet from Dubai, of all places. So, yeah, I kind of had a feeling it was going to be that. What about you guys?
Yeah, honestly, I was discounting the idea that it would be something like this because, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like, honestly, I was like, it's not going to be that. That would be stupid. But it was.
Yeah. I was hoping it was going to be some kind of announcement that they were going to have a new, like concert DVD or, just something like that. And then it was, I don't know. I can't really say that it was disappointing just because, it is Kiss and everything. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like they built it up so much that it was just kind of like, oh, we're just doing a live show. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. I can go on YouTube and watch that anytime I want. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, good to finally hear something going on in the Kiss camp, but to be playing in Dubai, that was kind of weird. I figured they would just do it, like in a warehouse or some empty, Staples Center or something, something kind of close to home. But of course, I kind of figured that was coming since Metallica had they did their big thing in the drive-ins over the summer, and they even did another like live stream thing over the weekend. And hot rod outside.
Yeah. It's not no hot rod. It's somebody who likes to think they own a hot rod. Yeah.
So the pricing came out, and I'm looking at the site here. So officially, the thing is called Kiss 2020 Goodbye from the Atlantis, Dubai. It takes place at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, New Year's Eve. Price range. The basic thing starts at $40 for the access to stream, to watch it live. They have a $50 option, which I guess just gives you basically a longer period of time to replay the event if you want. And of course, in true KISS fashion, we have VIP packages, which one starts at $250 and the other one is $1,000.
What even is included in that? Like,
Basically, with the $250 one, it's called the Gold VIP. You get like 8 additional items. Like, it looks like they have a couple different shirts, the hoodie, some sort of laminate, like a poster. To the best of my knowledge, that's what that looks like. And the $1,000 one has 14 different pieces of merchandise. And from what I understood, I think it's the $250 package also includes a copy of the concert on Blu-ray as well.
like they won't eventually put it out anyway.
That's kind of what I think, or more than likely it's going to leak right away, because I'm sure somebody that's watching the thing that knows how to use a live recorder, just like all these other things that have leaked out, or I'm sure it's going to get out there. And of course, as usual, you have KISS fans arguing already about the prices and who's not going to pay it and who will. And, you know, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it, blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of thing. Everyone's got to put their 2 cents in.
Naturally.
Everybody's got to argue about it because, you know, the internet was invented for that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yes.
You know,
complaining and arguing.
You know,
they go hand in hand.
Us diehards, we would love to pay $1,000 and get all that extra stuff, because I'm sure it's going to be collectible down in years to come. Yep. But again, not all of us can afford that, so more power to you guys that can. You know, as long as I could just watch the thing, that's all I really care about right now. And you know, it's I don't know. You know, Metallica, what was it, $100 and some dollars to get into a drive-in to watch that concert on a drive-in screen, you know, carload. You had the same kind of discussion with that. A lot of people were okay with paying it. So to me, the KISS thing is a better deal, because you only have to pay a minimum of $40 to sit and watch it, let alone in the comfort of your house, you know, play it through your stereo, blast it, whatever. And instead of paying $100 and some that like Metallica charged to go sit in your car and staring at a big screen. But and then of course with the other options, you get some, you know, extra goodies and whatnot with it. But you know, whatever, it is what it is. I mean, it's KISS. That's what you expect. They're going to do everything big. And you know, the way I look at it, this is kind of a bonus. It's like another chance to see them before it's all said and done. You know, like I feel like we'll have 2 chances now to like kind of really see them. You know, virtual concert, and then, you know, hope to God we'll be able to see them in person, you know, come this time next year or whatever, if all goes well. So I kind of look at it as like a bonus opportunity to see them, you know, an extra time before it's all said and done. And there's all that. Hey, Robbie, what's up? Robbie's passing on the concert. He said he would think about it if it was the original lineup or even Bruce, you know, or they did it non-makeup. Yeah, you know, more power to you, man. I understand. I know a lot of people are hoping for something along those lines too, but again, I didn't think it was going to be anything near that. You know, we were tossing around ideas the other day, like, as I toss my light around, I hit the cord.
Attack!
Attack of the family. This damn thing. But anyway, we were tossing ideas the other day. We thought, oh, maybe it's something to do with, you know, again, long shot Kissology 4.
Documentary they talked about.
Yeah, maybe even documentary. Yeah. And from what I understand, the documentary is still kind of, you know, being talked about as if it's going to come. maybe even at the end of the year too. So it may be kind of a, we might get like a nice Kiss filled into the year, to make up for how horrible this year's been. We might have the concert, and then all of a sudden this documentary might drop right around the same time. Who knows?
How long has it been since they've done a Kissology? When was the last one?
Long time.
Yeah, I don't even remember what year the third one came out. It had to have been like 2000, early 2000s. Like,
Yeah. I would have still been living at home. I'm almost sure that I was living at home when that last one came out.
mm-hmm.
Man, it's like time. Like, come on.
Yeah. And then I don't know how many times people asked, especially Tommy, like when he was at the expo, he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Oh, and that, that's been 2-3 years now, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and we still haven't seen it, but so yeah, some pretty exciting news. Depending on how you look at it, again, everyone kind of has their own opinions and coming at it different ways, but it is what it is, and just good to see something good to look forward to on New Year's Eve for once. That'll be nice to have a good reason to stay at home and stay away from all the crazies that are out and about anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming up New Year's Eve, 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you go to the Kiss Online site, that'll take you straight to the page you need to be to order your ticket and all that stuff and get your spot. So definitely make sure to do that. I'm gonna try to knock that out as soon as I can too, and be ready to watch it. All right, well, so let's get on into everything and catch up on some stuff, and then we'll get into this Ace album.
Yes, absolutely. So we got some polls and comments to talk about. Now, normal viewers of the show will know that oftentimes you'll see me looking up a lot because I used to have a TV over there. Now I've got a TV over here. So if you see me looking over there instead of directly at you, that's why. I've got a whole bunch of information on the screen over there. I promise I'm not just being rude.
You need like 2 cameras now.
Yes, I can switch back and forth.
Ready, camera 2, go!
I could do that for dramatic.
Dramatic close-ups.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so comments on the last episode, the Gene Simmons solo album episode. Actually got quite a few comments and quite a few views, so that was definitely good to see. We got a comment from Chuck McFarland, who says, in 1978, I listened to Ace Frehley's solo album first and loved the songs and guitar work. Then I listened to Paul Stanley's, and it had some really cool songs. I listened to Peter's, and thought it was okay. It wasn't hard rock like I wanted, but it was still an okay rock album. Then I put on Gene Simmons' album, and the demonic laugh started, and I said, holy crap, this is going to be the heaviest Kiss album ever. That's the abridged version of that quote, by the way. Then the music started, and I couldn't have been more disappointed. I ranked Gene Simmons' solo album a 5. We also got a comment from Anthony X. Anthony says, my biggest takeaway from this episode was your fresh perspective on When You Wish Upon a Star. You didn't just say it sucks or it's stupid, but you both gave insightful and honest criticism to such an obscure song in the Kiss catalog. Also a version I personally love, so thank you for that. You're welcome.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we try to put a little emphasis into why we feel the way we do instead of just saying, oh, it sucks. Oh, it's stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. He also says, I have always felt that Aces is the best of the 4 albums, but Gene's has always been my personal favorite since I was 4. My top 3 are Always Near You, Man of a Thousand Faces, and Mr. Make-Believe, and I prefer this version of See You in Your Dreams over the Rock and Roll Over version. The female vocals on that song are exactly why I love it. I give this album a 9. The fact that this album is all over the place and undemon-like is what makes it special for me.
Yeah, well, it's like we said on that episode. To me, that's like the gem of the album. It's not what you expect, from Gene, and it's just he took the most time, I felt, to really make it creative and put a lot of different stuff in there.
There is definitely a ton of stuff, that is for sure. Let's see. We got a couple comments from Steve McGowan. Steve says, here's some info. According to Gene, the introduction was based on some things that he's heard on the album, mainly Radioactive, and the piece sounds kind of like the theme from Jaws, The Exorcist. It's basically strings, lots of brass, and Janice Ian singing in Latin. The Latin says something like, I see no evil, I hear no evil, and it's not around me at all. But underneath her is Sean Delaney doing a kind of deep voice growl. That came from Rock Magazine. Steve says, I have read, too, that Sean is repeatedly saying sanctum over and over. Steve also said, this version of See You in Your Dreams was the first version I heard when I was a kid. When I heard the version of this song on Rock and Roll Over, I thought it sounded weak and plain compared to the Gene solo version. This version to me is a lot heavier sounding, obviously. That's his true confession. Let's see. We got a battery of comments from Chris from Kiss and Tail. He says, my true confession is that the American government should play Gene's and Peter's solo albums nonstop at Guantanamo Bay to get important intel.
Oh, jeez.
He gave the Gene Simmons album a 6.5 out of 10. He also says, Always Near You would easily be the best song on the album if Gene would have allowed someone else to write the lyrics. He says, I saw the episode of American Pickers where the guest was Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick. They went through his storage garage and they found Gene Simmons' solo album signed and dedicated to him from Gene. That's pretty neat. Chris also says, Vicks Vapo Cool Cough Drops are Paul Stanley's favorite. He loves the taste. Of course. Robbie Stars, hey, you're in here right now. Robbie's got a couple of comments. He says, fans didn't understand this album when it came out, but years later, I think we all truly understand what Gene was going for, especially the Beatles sound that is very interesting to hear still to this day. Chuck McFarland, however, commented on that, and I think he disagreed a little bit. He says, Gene Simmons had Joe Perry of Aerosmith and Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick play on the album. I don't think Gene knew what he was going for. He had all the right people and still screwed it up, in my opinion. P.S. Even the great ones miss a shot or two. Ouch. Also from Robbie, we got the rankings for that album. Robbie's top 3, Mr. Make-Believe, Tunnel of Love, and Radioactive. He says, I truly love this album to death. My favorite of the solos. There's many songs off this that remind me of the Beatles' Revolver album and great harmonies throughout the album. Also, Gene was dating Peg Bundy for over a year, and she thought Gene was going to marry her, as she recently said something about this. That's kind of interesting. I hadn't heard that.
So
Yeah,
weird.
I didn't know they actually dated.
Yeah. Gene then moved on and started dating Cher. By the way, I give this a 9. The only song I dislike is See You in Your Dreams, which in my opinion is a horrible remake. Great show, guys. Rock on. Side note, Richie Rano said he got a platinum record for playing on the album. Nice. Also got a comment from Thomas, Rain in Adamstown. It says, still love the album. This time it's a 9.5 for me. If I listen to it, I have to listen to it in its entirety. And yes, it is great how the album ends.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Robbie, I like the little nod to Paul's album there with what you said.
Yeah. It is good. So lots of changes, lots of more information to input there. I also just today got Savannah's votes for Alive 2 and Gene Simmons, the 2 episodes she's missed recently. So the changes to everything, not a whole bunch of changes. Gene's album went up to a 6.4 average overall. It was at 6.2, so got a couple extra points for it there. Also, Mr. Make-Believe and Burning Up with Fever have swapped places. Mr. Make-Believe is now in 3rd place, and Burning Up with Fever is in 4th place. And then Alive 2 has actually gone down now with an 8.1 average overall, down from 8.4.
Oh, wow.
So not a big change or anything, but changes nonetheless. So our polls. I know we keep saying this, but geez, things are heating up. if you guys aren't involved with this, you should definitely go on there. Robert, it's worth getting on Facebook for.
Yeah.
And I have to apologize to you guys because I know we talked about getting a Twitter going again, and I've just failed to do that yet. So I promise I'm gonna work on that, and we'll try to get these polls on there, especially now that we're getting to this point of it.
Right. We are with the polls or matches, that were posted today. We are closing out round 4, so it's going fast. Every round is going to get a little shorter now because obviously we're knocking out half the songs every time. We haven't hardly talked about round 4 at all yet, even, right? Because we skipped last week.
Yeah.
So, so the results. Let's just go down through round 4 with results because I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about any of this. Our first match for round 4 was Unholy versus Rocket Ride. Very, very, very close. Unholy ends up taking that with 52% of the vote. Just barely.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it was a legitimate single with a video, so.
Right.
And it does kind of stick in people's minds a little more.
Yes. We also had All Hell's Breaking Loose versus 100,000 Years. 100,000 Years takes it with 68%. Take Me versus Cold Gin. This was another fairly close one. Cold Gin wins with 59%. I Want You versus Creatures of the Night. This one was not close at all, and that very much surprised me. Creatures of the Night takes it with 82%.
Wow.
Yeah. Another one I expected to be a little closer, 2000 Man versus Strutter. Strutter won, which to be expected, but with 83%.
Wow. I definitely expected it to be closer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That Creatures of the Night one was weird because, again, the studio version, it's good, but it's like, it's just not as good as that Alive 3 version. So it makes it kind of weird to kind of vote for Creatures over I Want You. But
Yeah. I'm looking forward to. I think the plan is still once we finish this tournament to start a live only.
Oh yeah.
Just versions from the Alive.
Yes.
So that'll be curious. I'm curious to see how that goes. We also had She versus Tonight You Belong to Me. She takes that one with 79%. Now we're starting the results we just got in today. So these were the polls we posted 2 weeks ago. Well, no, it would have still been last week, but the polls closed today. Shout It Out Loud versus Deuce. Starting right off with a kick in the nuts. Deuce takes it with 68%.
Thank God.
Yes. Another kick in the nuts to me. I Love It Loud versus Psycho Circus. Yeah, this one was not close. I Love It Loud takes it with 75%.
Wow.
I was surprised to see it be that hard.
That's what she said.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Heaven's on Fire versus I Stole Your Love. We're really getting it. Heaven's on Fire takes it with 55%.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that was very close. This one left me shaking my head. I don't even... Love Her All I Can versus Detroit Rock City. How did Love Her All I Can get to round 4?
It's a great song.
No, it is. I absolutely agree. I'm surprised to see that one over some of the other ones that I know have lost.
Yeah, true.
And as could be expected, Detroit Rock City takes it with 87%. I mean, just stomping it. Oh, that just wasn't a fair matchup for Detroit at all. We had Come On and Love Me versus Hooligan. Come On and Love Me takes that with 82%. And then Sure Know Something versus Christine 16. This was another pretty close one with Sure Know Something taking it with 59%.
No.
It's so close.
Yay!
Yeah.
Both are so great, but man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we got the ones we've just posted today. There are 5 matches. We couldn't do 6 because there's only 5 left in this round. And then there is going to be a second chance round after this as well.
Oh, cool.
Because
I was going to ask you if there was.
Yep, we ended up with another odd number of songs. So the ones you can go vote on right now, if you jump over to our Facebook, search Kiss Meets the Podcast group. It's a private group we post in. You do have to request access to it, but we accept everybody. So if you're not in there, get on these posts. As soon as Facebook starts letting us publicly post polls again, they won't be in, they'll just be shared in the group. They'll be posted from our page, so you don't have to join a group. But we promise we don't spam in there or anything. You won't regret it if you get in there.
Right.
The ones you can vote on right now: Tears Are Falling versus Love Gun. Ouch. Love 'Em and Leave 'Em versus Going Blind. Mr. Speed versus King of the Nighttime World. Firehouse versus Shock Me.
Oh.
Just in case your nuts weren't bruised enough. and War Machine versus God of Thunder.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's
These
definitely
are like
some
the
tough
ultimate two Gene songs. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Ow.
And keep in mind here, God of Thunder is back into round 4 after having lost. God of Thunder is the one that won our second chance round from round 3. So it'll be curious to see if it gets knocked right back out or not. Like usual, next week we're only going to be posting the second chance round. We can't post it until obviously we know what happens with these polls that are posted right now. But it's going to be 6 songs just like normal. Right now, those 6 songs are going to be very similar to the ones that got posted last time. In fact, if we posted it right now, it would be the same 6 from last time, but instead of God of Thunder, it would be Rocket Ride. So Rocket Ride, A Million to One, Hate, I'm a Legend Tonight, Who Wants to Be Lonely, and Let Me Go Rock and Roll. Unless we get a super close match in the polls that are posted right now, and those end up knocking one of those out.
Okay. Robbie says the head-to-head song battle is a fun thing. Possibly the number 1 song will be one that isn't on our radar. Thanks to all of these diehard Kiss fans. Tired of the most overplayed Kiss tunes. Exactly, man.
Yep.
I think I made a pick a long time ago that I think Deuce may end up taking it all, and so far it's still in the game. So.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I'm not gonna lie, I will be a little bit disappointed if it comes out to be like Rock and Roll All Night or Detroit Rock City. While those would make sense, it's just so obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, is it truly? Well, I mean, we're just talking as if it does happen, but are those truly the best songs when it comes to written and all that? Not just most popular.
Right. Yep. I would love to see something like Unholy or Deuce or any of the ones that are still in the running right now. I think have a shot.
Mm-hmm.
We should do one of the the next time after maybe the live versions, we should start doing polls of different eras, like the 70s era. What's the best song of the 70s era? What's the best song of the 80s era? And just see,
That's a good one.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely.
See what the results would be.
And I noticed too, I forgot a couple of songs to be included in this. Not that they were going to win, but Don't Touch My Ascot and Samurai Son were not included in this initially. So,
I mean, that's definitely sort of arguable, but they weren't exactly on like a album officially, and Samurai Son isn't exactly a soul Kiss song. It's kind of a collaboration. So
right. Those are 2 I would expect to be knocked out round 1 if they were in there.
What about like Nothing Can Keep Me From You? Is that?
Nope. You know what? That one's not on there either.
Okay. Or was that one that we were going to include with the other stuff at the end? That's all, that mix match.
Yeah, for the polls, or not for the polls.
Or no. Yeah, never mind. I mixed that up.
Yeah. Yep. You know what? Although I think I forgot to even include that one in the list, so I'm going to put that on right now so I don't forget again, because that is a good point.
I would have liked to have seen. I know it's only a demo, but I would have liked to have seen Time Traveler on here.
Oh yeah, Sword and Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hell, we can go crazy and do a poll like that too, like the best like unreleased songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robbie is game for the best 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s songs.
That would be sweet. Yes.
Yeah.
Gonna have to do it.
So what, we ready for album info now? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, indeed. Yep. Look at me forgetting how we do this. You're not the only one that's rusty. Yeah.
Look at you go.
Yeah, look at me go. All right. So Ace Frehley. It's the 1978 solo album. One of 4 Kiss solo albums, of course, released all on the same day, September 18th, 1978. This was recorded throughout June and July of 1978 at the Mansion in Sharon, Connecticut, and also Plaza Sound Studios in New York. This was produced by the incomparable Eddie Kramer and also Ace himself. As we know, this album features not a whole ton of guest musicians like Gene does, but Anton Fig on the drums, who wasn't really anyone yet at this moment, but ended up being a member of both Frehley's Comet after Ace left Kiss, and doing a whole ton of stuff. Also, one of the most notable things is that he was on the CBS Orchestra on the David Letterman show for a long, long time.
And this is basically the official introduction into his time working with Kiss here.
Yep.
Even though there is speculation about the stuff on Alive 2, but this is definitely where he's actually credited. So
Absolutely. Only one single from this album, New York Groove.
I believe I'm trying to remember now. I want to say Ozone or Snowblind was the B-side. I can't remember now.
Let me click on it and see. I'm sure it says here. Snowblind.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. So Personnel, a much shorter list than any of the other 4 solo albums. We've got Ace himself, lead vocals, guitars, acoustic guitar, bass, and guitar synthesizer. Anton Fig, drums and percussion. Will Lee, who played bass on Ozone, I'm in Need of Love, and Wiped Out. Carl Tallarico, who played drums on Fractured Mirror. I don't remember that. I thought Anton played the whole thing. That was new information.
Yeah.
David Lasley and Susan Collins, who did backing vocals on Speeding Back to My Baby, What's on Your Mind, and New York Groove. Larry Kelly did backing vocals on Rip It Out. Bill Bear Shinneman did the bell on Fractured Mirror, and Bobby McAdams did the talk box on New York Groove.
Wow, what a credit. I did the triangle on Fractured Mirror.
You're right. This album did get up to number 26 on the U.S. Billboard, way higher than any of the other solo albums got. This, just like the other solo albums, however, is certified platinum.
Will Lee, also a member of the David Letterman band.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I guess I wanted to mention, because I guess we never talked about when it comes to their singles, they released, they had the 4 main singles off of each album, and they came on colored vinyl, which again was like, why didn't they do that with the main albums? Even though, I know they recently did a reissue of the box where they're now on colored vinyl, but in the initial run, that would have been kind of cool had they had done that, just like with the singles. And they even came with little like paper masks of each member, and they recreated all that back when they put out the Casablanca singles box set. Those were all included, and just wanted to kind of mention those because those were pretty cool and a little better. I don't know, a little more appealing to the eye in a way.
Right.
Playing them with the color.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, so let's jump into the album here, and starting it out is Rip It Out, and this is number 3 for me. Just another fantastic opener. Pretty much, all four of the solo albums, that's, one thing they all have in common. They all have a pretty solid opening song to start it off, kind of set the tone. And this one, opposite of what we said about Gene, this pretty much is what everyone expected from Ace. And, just that good straight rocking, that 70s kind of hard rock feel to it. And, not to mention, of course, Anton Fig just making his presence known right away on this song with the drums, with the cool fills and everything. This is definitely a cool opening track, and probably, it's probably up there with one of Ace's best known songs. A lot of people probably would mention this right along Shock Me and Rocket Ride, I'm sure.
Yep. This is number 3 for me. I think it's a really good opening for an album. It's really energetic and it's full of life, and you always want that for the beginning, the very beginning, because when you first listen to an album, if that first song doesn't catch you, it just makes you kind of not even want to deal with what else could be on it,
Yeah.
So it's just the kind of song that when you hear it, it just makes you want to know what comes after it, what's next. And yeah, it had some great drum fills right there before the guitar solo, and then the guitar solo, it fits the song so well. He really nailed the solo in the song, I think. So, number 3 for me.
Yeah, number 1 for me, actually, on this one. This is, I have nothing meaningful to add that hasn't already been said, but yeah, it's just the perfect way to start an album. It's upbeat, it's energetic, it gets you excited to hear the rest. And yeah, this is one of my favorite Ace songs, period. Just everything about it is good. His vocals worked on it, his guitars worked on it. Anton's little, basically a drum solo in the middle is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Then we go into Speeding Back to My Baby. This one came number 6 this time. Another great song. I just like with the Gene album again, I feel like especially the first 3 songs here on a row are just really good. Some of my favorites, but again, as I listen to this more and more, things hit me a little different. So this time, Speeding ended up being number 6 when I started numbering these. And but again, great song. Love the intro. How it just kind of starts with almost like a little solo piece, and then when it just kicks into the verse, it just totally kind of changes the feel, and it's kind of got that I don't know, in a way it's got like a hint of like sort of the old 50s kind of doo-woppy stuff in a way, but only the way Ace can make it sound. And yeah, some cool background vocals in there, and just another solid song. This is always, again, one of the songs that I can usually go to if I feel like just hearing a few songs off the album. This is one of the ones I will go to, regardless of where it ranked this time.
This is number 2 for me. This has always been one of my favorite Ace songs. Even when I first heard this album, it just always caught me in the right way. Kind of reminds me of there for a little while how they had like a road songs era where every band was putting out a road song,
Mm-hmm.
like Bad to the Bone and I Can't Drive 55. Like if I made a road song, like a road playlist, like I would put the song on there with those same ones, just because it's like it's just the kind of song like if you just want to go cruising somewhere, like you just listen to this one along with all those other ones.
Exactly.
It just fits in well with it. So yeah, I've always loved this song. So
I used to put this album on all in general, let alone this song, if I'd take a road trip.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, this one's number 2 for me as well. This is another one of just when I think of Ace, this is one of the songs that pops up usually. And it's mostly that main guitar riff. I've always liked that riff. It's very Ace. You know what I mean? It's that lead figure that he used a lot. He even used it for a solo a lot in the early days, a figure very similar to this main riff. And so it makes a lot of sense for him to turn that into the main riff of a song. And I love that bouncy grooves. It gives it such an interesting energy that not a lot of the other ones on this album have. Um, the only thing on this song I think that can go, in my opinion, and anybody who watched last time, the last episode won't be surprised. You guessed it. It's those female vocals.
I forgot to mention too. I like how Anton, like, I think it's the second verse or so, he starts throwing in just these little accents on the hi hat, like ooh, speed dance.
Yeah. Yes.
Just little things like that again. Snowblind, number 1 this time. God, I love this one. This one to me is like possibly the heaviest song on the album, and maybe the heaviest out of all 4 solo albums, period. Just love that riff, and how the song starts out, and just it's grooving right away. You just can't help but bob your head. And then during the lyrics, the verses, it's got a cool feel and groove to it. And then when the chorus hits, the nice background vocals, and just another solid song. There's just really no flaws to it for me this time.
This was number 4 for me. The song musically is great, but I feel like vocaling it lacks a lot vocally, and I just don't feel like there was quite enough power behind it. And I know that Ace isn't normally a singer, you know what I mean? So it was probably more of a newer thing maybe when he did this, but I think it kind of hurts the song because of it, because it's they're great. I mean, the vocals would be great if they were just a little stronger,
Yeah.
But musically, it's fantastic. It's heavy. It's great. And that solo is just like top of the line good. I loved that solo in this song, and just musically, it's great. But I feel like, just vocally, he just wasn't quite up where I would have liked for him to be. So it kind of affected it for me. But it still made it up high on my list just because musically, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I definitely liked it musically, but vocally, I was like, I wish he was just a little bit more.
Fire.
Yeah. I wish he was just a little more in your face with those vocals, and then I feel like it would have just been a perfect. It probably would have been number 1 for me as well if it would have been just more powerful vocals on it.
Yep. Number 5 for me this time on this one. And I'll tell you what, this used to be one of the ones on this album that I would skip immediately. I used to hate this song. I didn't really appreciate it, honestly, until we listened to that Ace tribute album not that long ago, the one that Harry Mills suggested.
Oh, yeah.
And had that just perfect cover of this song. And honestly, I think I still prefer that cover to this version, but really it just opened my eyes a little bit more to, I think I get behind what Savannah's saying. Ace's vocals don't quite hit me right on this, but the riff is awesome, and it's still a great song. It's just Ace's voice didn't quite get there. Whoever they got to sing that cover version nailed it.
Yeah,
I can't remember who that was now on that, but I know there's a version that Dime does on that other Ace tribute album. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention again, I do like, before it goes into the solo, how the tempo just changes, and that snare roll, and just takes off into that solo, and then when it kind of comes back down and back into that, just the way the song started, and back in that groove again, and then Anton throwing those little kind of extra little tom fills in it this time.
Yeah.
Great song. Next is Ozone. Number 2. This song just keeps growing on me more and more over the last few years. It's become one of the songs that I kind of gravitate to almost the most right now if I do play a song off of this album. And I just love the catchiness of it. I love how Ace is singing right along, and the guitar is basically following what he's singing during the verses, and I think that's really catchy. And then when it goes to that weird like ozone, it kind of sounds like there's maybe a little bit of acoustic underneath that too. It kind of gives it that little extra accent or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's just song's catchy as hell, and it just keeps growing on me. And the more I listen to it, the more I love it more and more.
This was number 6 for me this time. Um, I think this song is just one of those midway groove kind of songs. I mean, it's not a bad song at all. Like it's a good song, but I had a hard time keeping my attention on it. I kept wandering off thinking about other things while it was playing, and I think it's very repetitive. And I think the fact that because it's kind of really repetitive, I think that's what contributed to my mind not really like paying as close attention to it as I would have liked.
What was on
Um,
your mind?
no, I don't even know. Like it was just random things that I just randomly think about. Like I don't even know exactly now what it was I was thinking about, but I just had a hard time focusing on it. But not a bad song. It's just the repetitiveness of it. I was just kind of like not paying attention by the time it ended.
Yep. This is actually number 9 for me this time.
Wow.
This is another one. This one and Snowblind, I used to skip on this one. Because I did not like either of them. Snowblind's grown on me. Ozone still not really too much. The repetitiveness gets me. The one thing that I really do like about this song, though, is the use of the acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
The way he mixed the electric and acoustic is absolutely perfect. And he does that a lot throughout this album, but I think it really shines the best on this song.
Yeah, it would have been cool. Again, like we've talked with each album about the songs they chose to perform live, especially on the tour, and just something like this, or there's so many off this album that would have been maybe better choices.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What's on your mind is next, and number 8 this time. It's always been one of those that like, I don't know, basically what Savannah was saying about Ozone. This is the one that always kind of loses my attention, and I think I said it back when we did this album before. Ace has this weird, like, I don't know I can't think of the word right off the top of my head, but he's very hopeful about things. Like, this song's, maybe we can do this, maybe we can, maybe this, and he says that in a few songs. It's like,
yeah,
that's something he liked to go to a lot in his lyric writing, and that's part of what kind of, I don't know why, but it just kind of bothers me in this song, like how many times he goes to that, maybe we can, maybe blah blah blah. but other than that, I mean, it is it's not horrible, but I mean, I can definitely listen to it, but I just find myself kind of trailing off here after I hear that that stuff so many times. So.
Yeah. This was number 5 for me, and kind of like what you guys were saying about the last song, I feel like this one had an acoustic feel, but it also had the rock vibe behind it at the same time, and I think he pulled it off well. It had both of those qualities, and I think he nailed it when it came to this song. It wasn't the best song on the album, but I like the qualities that it had to help it, to help it along. Because it wasn't just a typical, one thing flows into another. It had a few different qualities that kind of made it a little bit different. And then the solo was kind of just like this nice little like laid back addition to the song versus it being like its own thing. It was more like just an addition to the song, obviously you could tell it was a solo, but it also just kind of flowed nicely in the song. But yeah, it wasn't the best song again, because it's a wandering eye song as well. But I like that it kind of had the acoustic and rock vibe together. That was nice.
Yeah. This one did come in at number 4 for me this time. I do like this song, but I almost always forget about it. It comes on and I'm like, oh yeah, this one.
Yeah.
But I can definitely agree. I wish there were more parts to it. The parts that are there happen too many times, and then the song still is a bit short, surprisingly. So it could use a few more sections, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree because like as many times as I've heard the album, when this song comes on, I find myself like even today, I find myself looking down at the album jacket like, what's this song called? Oh, what's on your mind? Yeah, duh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, God, every song there's something I forget to mention, and I say it at the end. But like talking about the acoustic thing, I like how I will give them credit. I like how they incorporate that on the, I guess the chorus on here, underneath that.
Yeah.
So we flip the record over and we go to New York Groove. And just in case anyone watching isn't aware, this is a cover song. Go on YouTube, look up the band Hello, and you will find the original version. I personally think the original version is pretty catchy too. I don't mind it. But in this rate, New York Groove comes in at number 5. It's kind of middle of the barrel. I mean, it's one of Ace's most known songs, whether unfortunately or fortunately. It's, again, I mean, basically the big thing about it is it's kind of got that feel good vibe to it. I like just, when the shakers come in at the beginning, like to me, just that little element just really kicks the song off, and little things like that. And I like the way the background vocals sound on the chorus and everything. It sounds nice and big, and everything's there. It's not too overdone. And I guess you could say this song may have been the first dip into the disco pool that Kiss kind of started leaning towards, that we all come to find on the next album. But, I guess you can kind of say this might be the first disco-y kind of Kiss song. So.
Number 9 for
Right.
me. And I feel like I've already made my feelings known about this particular song. And I don't want to just rehash the same thing over and over again, but I feel like this is one of his worst songs. Like I just can't. I don't know what it is about it that there's just something about it that grates on my nerves so bad, and I can't even pinpoint what it is exactly about it that it just drives me nuts and it drives me crazy. But it's also the type of song that, it'll be stuck in your head for days on end after you hear it too. And I'm just like, it's like that there's a Paul McCartney Christmas song that Simply Having a Wonderful. I can't stand that song so much just because like when you hear it, it will never leave your mind ever. And I don't know what it is. Like from the first time I heard this song until now, I have a hard time getting through it. I can't pinpoint what it is that just drives me nuts. Like I just can't. But every time I hear it, I'm like, man, I don't ever want to hear that again. Like, please don't make me hear that again. Like,
people have a love-hate relationship with that song too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, and there are so many people who love it and think it's one of his greatest songs, and I'm just like, I don't understand.
I mean, again, I personally don't mind that Paul song because I only hear it once a year usually. But I try not to like overplay it if I do play it. But
yeah, me and my mom were at Walmart the other night getting groceries or something. I can't remember exactly why we were in there, but it played, and it was like when we were leaving the store, and they have those speakers outside the doors now. So all the way to the car and unloading into the car, I was having to hear that blasted into my brain, and I'm like,
that's how they get you to hurry up and leave.
It just doesn't end either. It just keeps going, and I'm like,
get out.
They get you to load your car up and get out of there quicker by blasting that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I was ready to just like, have you seen those videos on Facebook right now where if you do everything aggressive, that guy?
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. Like, open the trunk and I'm just going to start chucking as soon as I get close enough. So I can get out of this parking lot.
It's either that or that Mariah Carey song.
Yes, that one is just as bad.
We should have included both of those on Under Fire. Dang it. Opportunity lost. The New York Groove 7 for me. I'm in a similar boat with Savannah that I've said it 100 times too. Just never gotten into it that much. Now I understand why other people like it. It is very catchy, but it's just too vanilla. I think for me, it's obvious. There's nothing super special about it, uh, and the fact that it became one of his signature songs has always confused me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree that maybe there was probably a better song choice for what they did live, but I did kind of enjoy the live versions. I like the things that they added to it, and when it breaks down and he's like 42nd Street and all this stuff and kind of goofing off and
That rock on the sidewalk I like.
come on with me now.
Maybe that's what it is, because it feels more like a goof off than an actual song.
Mhm.
Like, maybe that's why it throws me off every time I hear it, because it just feels like more like he was just messing around versus being serious about, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really surprising coming from him, because I mean he's a goof. He always has been, but like, I don't know. Maybe that's why it throws me off and why I find it so weird.
Right. It makes me wonder, like, how did he know about the song, like, in the first place? Because it took
Yeah.
freaking 40 some years before I didn't even knew it was a cover. Heard what the
Right,
original
yeah.
was, and here he was back then already knew it apparently. And
Yeah.
it's like, why didn't Kiss ever do like a Christmas album or at least a song?
It would have been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's
They probably would have done Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
maybe we could piece one together with stuff like Stick My Log in Your Fireplace and
Come on, lick my candy.
yeah, kind of make up, just slice together a song and call it a Kiss Christmas song. All right, so we go into I'm in Need of Love, number 7. Again, this one's kind of up there with what I said about What's on Your Mind. Just, it's always one that, like, I know it's coming, and then I'll listen to it, and it's just like, it never really does much for me. Again, I mean, no matter how many times I've heard this album, it's just always kind of sits in that same position, and yeah, just not a big fan of it. I can't even, to be honest, I can't really think of much about the song, even at this point, to even say anything good about it.
Yeah, this was number 8 for me. Yeah, it's just it's just a mid-range kind of song. The guitars during the verses were doing this weird, I called it a zinger kind of noise, because I didn't really know how else to describe it, because I'm not even sure how to properly describe what they were doing, because I don't know what he was exactly doing. But it just threw off the whole vibe of this song for me, because he did it constantly through the song, and it was just, they were so loud, I feel, compared to everything else.
Oh,
And,
this is the one where it's like bam, 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 bam.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, that.
now I remember.
Yeah, and I don't feel like there was much build up to the choruses. It just kind of felt like a flat energy through this whole song, and the solo was the most exciting part of the song, and it didn't even really stick out that much. So it was, yeah, it's just kind of a throwaway kind of song, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was number 6 for me. Yeah, the exact same reasons. The whole song is built on a delay effect. It's a triplet time delay effect, and he keeps doing slides, and then it echoes.
Okay.
Even some of the chords he hits.
I would have been able
Echo.
to say that, because I have no idea exactly what it would have been called. But to me, it just sounded like a zinger. So I was like, I'm just going to call it a zinger. They'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Now, this is one of the 3 tracks that Will Lee played bass on, and there are a lot of weird little bassy bits going on, which is the only reason it crawled up the list a little bit for me. But I also noted that I remember liking this one more last time, but it's not grabbing me this time. So I went and looked at my votes for last time. Now, this was my number 9 last time, so I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Robbie says New York Groove was the start of their pop rock era. It's a catchy song, but also boring. All right.
Definitely.
Next is everyone's favorite, if you're Steve McGowan, Wiped Out. Number 9, which dead last again. Why couldn't we squeeze one more song on here, make it 10? But anyway, number 9 again. But I will say this time though, when I was listening to it, there was a little more promise to it this time. There were points that I was really paying attention. I'm like, wow, like this. Some of this is kind of heavy in a way too, and it was kind of catching my ear a little more. And so again, I got a feeling that this song is going to start growing on me over time more than it ever has. But yeah, so I just wanted to say, even though it is bottom of the barrel again, this time there was that glimmer of hope this time when I heard it. So
this was number 7 for me. I got a beach vibe from this song. Like
I
when
wonder
you
why.
watch old episodes of Baywatch on TV, and you see the beach scene of all the characters together talking, and then like when the chorus hits, you see a guy on the like surfing on this huge wave. Like this is the song that would be playing during that. Like I just, but again, it wasn't a bad song. It just isn't really an attention grabber either. I kind of was just is a mid, like didn't really keep my attention. Kind of, I was in the seeing the beach scene more than I was listening to the actual song. So like, so that was like once it ended, I was like, oh, okay.
I don't
All
think
right.
it's a coincidence that the first record I put on after this album was Wipeout.
Yeah.
Something made me want to hear the real one.
Couldn't imagine what that would be. Oops. Yeah, this Wiped Out is 8 for me. This one, it actively frustrates me, really, because the verses have that fun, bouncy groove, similar to Speeding Back to My Baby. Not quite so catchy, but it's energetic and it's upbeat, and I really want to like it. But then when it hits that chorus and everything just crashes to a stop and it goes into the, it just really does not connect with me. And what's even more frustrating about that is that it has the pieces. Both riffs are good on their own. I don't dislike the 2 riffs. It even makes sense that the song fully changes grooves. Wiped Out, everything stops and it gets slower, and it makes sense with what he's singing. But just the way they're stuck together, I don't like it. I don't want to sound like I'm trash talking Anton, but I don't like what he's playing, drumming behind the chorus, behind the riff. The placement of the vocals kind of bothers me, and it just kills the whole thing. Yeah. It's so much potential, but I just can't get into it. You know?
Yeah, I agree that part of the feel of the drums just doesn't do it.
Yeah. And
I can't remember the one part now how it went, but where it did change a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but I'd have to listen again now because I don't remember it. What's this? Robbie says, I could hear Mitch Buchanan, David Hasselhoff singing this Wiped Out song on Baywatch.
I would pay to see that. Like, I want to see that.
That's good.
What's even weirder is that's the second time this week David Hasselhoff has come up in a conversation.
It's a sign. I don't know what sign, but it's a sign.
Well, we come to the end of the album here with Fractured Mirror, number 4 for me. I feel like this is kind of like one of those, like, what needs to be said, because it kind of speaks for itself. To me, it's one of them, key A songs up there with, I put it up there, equals like his Rock and Roll All Nights and Shout It Out Louds, if you will. I mean, it's such an epic instrumental track, for one, which, again, at the time it was a little unexpected in a way to, it's an instrumental track, that's wasn't really expecting Ace to do that. And part of it, and then obviously we come to find out as the years go by that he kind of turned this into a, more than a trilogy now, because I think he's done at least 4 or 5 or so different parts that he's called Fractured. Just a fantastic acoustic work, and the solo thing. And back when we did the Ace tribute album Spacewalk, the version of the Dimebag, oh my god. And I think I said it then, and dare I say it now, like, I'm sorry, but that Dimebag version was I kind of like better than this, and I know that seems kind of sacrilege to say because Ace wrote this thing and this is his piece, but this one is fantastic too. To give credit where it's due, we obviously wouldn't even have the Dime version if it wasn't for this, and and we all know how much Ace meant to Dime, and so yeah, this was a fantastic way to end off the album, and just a great closer and a great, beautiful piece of music.
Yep, this is number 1 for me. It's just this song is a whole different story for this album. I feel all its own. I've always loved this song since the very first time that I ever heard it. It's a fantastic piece of instrumental music. It's the type of instrumental song that you connect to emotionally, and a lot of times instrumental music has a really hard time doing that, for a lot of people, just because most people, when they hear songs, they connect to lyrics more than they do anything else. The lyrics are what they look to connect to. So, for a song that has no words to relate to, and can help you feel something in all aspects, including emotional, and then, even it gives you a visual aspect too. It's just a special type of song all its own when it's able to do that. Um, a lot of people don't. A lot of people will skip songs like this because it's instrumental. They don't want to hear instrumental. They want to hear lyrics. They want to be able to sing. They want to be able to communicate, through the words. And it's like they don't understand how much they're missing out when they do stuff like that. Because this song is a perfect example of that. That it doesn't have to have words for you to be able to relate to it. For you to be able to feel something with it. And when a song does that, especially for me, it makes it a whole different category of special, So yeah, I've always loved this. I love all of the Fractured pieces, but like this was the one that started it, Yeah. So it's just it's so good.
Hey, Vance, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a while. He said, "Hey guys, love the Ace Total Kiss LP. It's his favorite."
Awesome. Fractured was number 3 for me. Yes, this is just a fantastic instrumental. I think I said this on one of the Second Coming Ace episodes we did, but I really wouldn't mind hearing an entire album of Ace instrumentals, especially if they were all kind of like this. I'd be curious to see. I'd be curious to hear it if somebody just strung all his existing instrumentals together. But I'd be even more curious to see what he'd come up with if he put his mind to it just right now, right from scratch, a whole album of instrumentals. Think Fractured Mirror. What that would be? I think that would be really, really cool.
Absolutely. All right, so for overall rankings, and Robbie, Vance, whoever else may be in the chat, don't hesitate. Give us your overall rankings as well. Yeah, Vance, I'm glad you were able to catch us live, man. It's good to see you, man. So I give this one an 8 overall. It's definitely a solid album. Like I said, it's I'm back and forth with this and the Gene album. Like I said last time, I probably do give this album the edge as far as better, as far as what you come to expect, and the songs are a little more, I guess, kiss sounding to me, if you want to say. Even though I still give Gene a little bit of an edge at the same time with how God, I can't. What am I trying to say? With what he put into it, just coming up with all these things that he did. But anyway, yeah, just great Ace album, and it leaves you wanting more. I wish they would have squeezed in at least one more extra song, and maybe even had he had done another album that would have been more along these lines, I thought would have been kind of cool too. But yeah, this is definitely a solid listen. It's it flies by every time I listen to the whole thing, and just a great album. And yeah, I definitely do have to give it the edge as being the best of the four.
Overall, I gave this album a 5, just because I was kind of disappointed with all of the kind of just mediocre songs. Like there was at least 3 or 4 of them that kind of were like, it was hard to pay attention to them. And if all of them would have been more like, Rip It Out and, Fractured Mirror, like if all of them would have been more like that, to where they would have been, they just have this energy and this, I wouldn't have been like wandering off and stuff. Like it probably would have gotten a lot higher in my ratings. It's better than I remember it being, like back when when I first heard this, I was not that big of a fan of it. But the reason for that, when I first heard the solo albums, the only one that I really liked was Paul's, just because I feel like his album was the one that related most to Kiss. I didn't really have the ability to listen to much beyond the lyrics, and relate much beyond that. It wasn't until I was with Luke for a few years, because he's a musician. When he listens to things, he analyzes everything about a song. And I never did that before until I was with him. And it wasn't until I was with him for a few years that I was able to kind of start listening past the lyrics and the words, and actually hear more than that, hear the music that's behind it, and the amount of work that goes into it. I notice so much more now than I ever used to, and I think it's helped me to appreciate the songs a lot more, because I hear the little things like that the drums do, the little fills that they do, and then some of the stuff that the bass does, or sometimes it's hard to hear the bass because it's not always right there where it should be. But I would notice it more, whereas before it wouldn't have even caught me at all. And noticing, what the rhythm guitar is doing underneath, like the main guitar and the main riffs. I think this is one of those albums that before I missed so much on it. The neat little solos that the drums did here and there, and then some of the bass that stuck out. Sometimes, I didn't notice a lot of bass this time, but before I probably wouldn't have noticed it at all. I wish that, like I said, I wish there would have been a few more songs that were more like Rip It Out and Speed and Back to My Baby, because the energy in those songs it was over the top. It was great, and then it just kind of fizzled out here and there after that, So I think that's why it kind of was just like middle of my, my overall rating, is because I wish it would have kept that energy through the whole album. And then it probably would have been my favorite album, of all the solo albums. But I still think Paul's is my top favorite, but Ace's is a close second, which I wouldn't have said that, before, 8 or 9 years ago, listening to this for the first time. I wouldn't have said that at all. But now, yeah, definitely.
See, again, that's why I love the differences, because I feel that Paul's has more filler to me than what Ace's does. And
right.
That just shows the difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave this 7.5 out of 10. This was a difficult one to rate for me a bit. This album really does deserve the praise it gets, though. Ace really shines on his own here. The album is full of good songs, produced and performed really well. As we talked about pretty much on all the other solo album episodes, I think the solo albums prove that the original lineup of Kiss was stronger as a unit than they were on their own or separated. However, personally, I think this album comes closer than any of the others to being just 100% completely its own thing. It kind of stands. If I had to pick a thing that Ace lacks in that the other guys came in and helped with, it's his vocals, I think. And we talked about that even on the other Second Coming, the Frehley's Comet episodes and stuff, how good it was to have, oh crap, I lost his name.
Geez. I did too.
Yeah. Jeez.
I know you're talking.
Oh, what an idiot. Yeah. I can think of everybody. John Regan,
Todd
the
Howard.
bass player. Yeah, Todd Howard. Jeez. Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah. Yeah, I've often said I'm not a fan of Ace's voice, and I'm not. It still holds true. But I don't mind it at all in the context of a Kiss album. When Shock Me comes on, I'm not like, ugh, God, or Rocket Ride,
Yeah.
or any of the ones on
Yeah.
Unmasked except Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
But yeah, having an album of nothing but his voice, it's not terrible, but I prefer any of the other guys' voices, even Peter's, to be honest. I think that most people call this the best of the 4 solo albums because it's also the closest of the 4 to what people were expecting from all 4. Ace took some great musicians into a studio, wrote some good songs, got a producer he knew he worked well with, and made a straight up rock and roll album like Rock and Roll Over Love Gun. Really close similarities. So no big name guest musicians, no crazy experimentation with sound or genre. And I think that shines through that their hearts and their focus were really in it. Having said that, do I think that's always the way to go? Nah. Is that what the other guys should have done? Nah, I don't think so. But it definitely worked for Ace.
Absolutely. Vance gives the album an 8.9. He said when it came out, he knew every word, played the hell out of it. I agree. Robbie said 78 was around the same time Ralph Mouth plays Molokai on Chips, dressing like a Kiss-like character. And Robert Trujillo was also in the episode as a trick-or-treater. Ever seen the episode? No, I haven't.
That's pretty cool.
And then Vance follows up and says he only got the Ace 8-track originally when it came out. Pretty cool. It would be years later in a record haul from a friend that he would get the other 3 solo LPs.
Nice.
All right. It is time for some true confessions. As I hit the wrong button.
Whoops.
All right, Savannah, you want to start?
I was trying to think of a true confession that just was dedicated to Ace for this album, but I couldn't really find one because most of everything I had thought about this album I already pretty much said. I didn't really leave anything out. So I was thinking, if I had a confession about all of these solo albums together, like what would it be? And I thought to myself, it would have been kind of cool, I think, if that once all the solo albums had come out, if Kiss would have, collaborated together and they picked one song off of each of their albums to do, and then would have recorded them together as Kiss songs for an EP. To wonder how much different some of those songs could have sounded, I didn't really pick which ones off of each album I thought would be cool for Kiss to cover, you know what I mean? But I just thought that would have been cool to, see which of these, solo albums, which songs off these solo albums they could have made into Kiss songs and like how much different they could have been and sounded. And if they would have been better or worse than what, they did on their own. Like, I think that could have been really cool just to hear it, just to have it, like that would have been something that would have been cool for them to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in let's say a generic setting, just take the songs that they decide to put on the best of the solo albums and, what if Kiss had done those? Let's think
Except
that way.
Paul's.
Right.
Not Paul's. Because that was like the worst one he could have possibly chosen. Not that one.
Breaking news, Robbie gives the album a 9. Only thing is Ace's voice keeps it from being perfect. He sings like a male version of Joan Jett.
He kind of really does. Like, honestly, he really does. That is hilarious. I never thought about that before, but yeah. Oh.
Let's see. I guess I'll go next since Luke might be adding that stuff in. I've kind of got a few things, and that's perfect like what you were saying, Savannah, because since we are wrapping up the solo albums, it's like we can also give a kind of a confession about the whole solo album thing in general as well. So one of the things is, again, like I said, I wish Ace would have thrown one extra song on here. What song would that have been? Would have been a great time to do the cover of Fox on the Run. That would have fit way better on here than it did all those years later on, whatever, I can't remember the album now. But the way his voice sounds on here was why I thought it was Ace singing that song originally. So I think that time frame would have fit perfectly had he had just chose to do that song on this album. When it comes to Paul's album, when I kind of really think about it now, I feel like Paul's sounds a little bit ahead of its time, because I feel like Paul's sounds more like the stuff that ends up being on, say, like Unmasked, and it's kind of got that vibe to it. Let's see. And again, I've said this multiple times now, but just to kind of wrap it up, I would have rather had them, again, not do the solo albums, just do the EP, 2 songs a piece. If they had to do something like that, and then just kind of, hurry up, put it out, and then keep the ball rolling with Kiss, with the momentum they were gaining at the time. Go right into whether it was Dynasty or whether they ended up sticking with the Love Gun type sound, and another album came out that sounded like that instead. I felt like those would have been some perfect directions to go, and instead of worrying about what the best solo album was, it's more like it would have felt more like a combined effort, since they would have all been kind of technically on one album together. Just kind of a sort of an EP version. Let's see. I think that's it right now. So if something else popped in my head that I forgot, I'll mention it.
Right. Yeah, I don't really have anything as far as all 4 solo albums Confession, other than if I had to think of something, I was thinking exactly what Eli just said. Like, overall, having all 4 of them probably wasn't that necessary. Would have been better to have just a regular Kiss album. I do kind of have 2 referring to Ace, though, and the first one, longtime viewers of this show probably familiar with my feeling on this, but I feel like it provides more context for the second one, so I'll go through both. Confession number 1, I am just not a big Ace fan. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I don't share the connection with his guitar playing that a lot of people do. I don't care for his voice. And I am one of the few people out there that thinks he shouldn't be in Kiss right now, and that Tommy does a better job with his parts than he would.
Yeah.
Just to throw it out there. That's saying now, you know what I mean? Confession number 2, having said all that, in his prime, Ace was a force to be reckoned with. You couldn't come up against the guy. He played exactly what the songs needed, and he wrote not only this whole album of great songs, but like most of Kiss's best early songs were also Ace. And I personally agree with the majority that this solo album is the best of the 4.
That's another thing is maybe it would have been cool had he had went and maybe re-recorded those songs that he did write in the early days, and then this time actually sing them. Maybe that would have been kind of interesting too, to hear that. I know, in recent years he's kind of done that, because he's redone Parasite and things like that here and there. But
yeah.
Robbie said he agrees 1,000%. Fox on the Run. He thought that was a Kiss tune when he heard it as a little kid. Great pick. Vance agrees as well. 4 solo LPs was the jump the shark moment for Kiss. Robbie says his true confession is we need more cowbell. It's totally missing on all of these solo albums. You are exactly right.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think I heard any on this album.
Cowbell is just such a great, like, when you hear a cowbell by itself, it's like, oh, why? But then when it's in a song, it's like, hey, that adds to that song. Like, when you hear it alone, it just kind of is like this, like Like if you got a pounding migraine, that's like the kind of sound you hear in your head. It makes you blink, like, oh God, why? But then, like when it's in a song, it's like, no, this is great. We need more of this.
Yeah, it was like when Amy got back from urgent care yesterday. She's like, "Oh, I got a fever," and I was like, "Did they prescribe you cowbell?"
Yeah. Nice.
I need more cowbell.
Well, that wraps up the Ace album and wraps up the solo album trek once again. Kind of glad, I'm ready to get back into the main Kiss discography this time, and yeah, definitely looking forward to it. So let's see how the Ace album stacks up this time.
Absolutely. I'm going to pull this right over here. Okay, so you guys know the drill by now. You just saw three of us give our rankings. We are also including quite a bit more than that. We do have Steve and Rochelle McGowan's votes this time. So we're including votes from Steve McGowan, who gave this a perfect 10 out of 10. His top three were Wiped Out, Speeding Back to My Baby, and Rip It Out. I'll give it to him. I'm impressed. I thought Wiped Out was going to be number one just to spite us. I really did. We've got Rochelle McGowan, who gave this album an 8 out of 10. And her top three were Speeding Back to My Baby, Rip It Out, and New York Groove. We got votes from me from last time. Last time I gave this a 7 out of 10. My top three were What's on Your Mind, Speeding Back to My Baby, and Rip It Out. Eli's votes from last time. Eli gave this an 8.5 out of 10. Top three were Ozone, Snowblind, and Rip It Out. My dad from last time we did this gave this a perfect 10 out of 10. His top three, New York Groove, Fractured Mirror, and Rip It Out. We've also got Steve McGowan from last time, who also gave this a 10 out of 10 then. His top three then, Wiped Out, Speeding Back to My Baby, and Rip It Out. We got votes from Louis Ferrer last time. I believe he was on the episode last time.
Yeah, I feel like we had like at least 4 people on that episode last time.
Yeah. I think it was me, you, Dad, Steve, and Louis.
I believe it was.
Yeah. Louis gave this an 8 out of 10, and his top three: Speeding Back to My Baby, Snowblind, and Rip It Out. We got Chuck McFarlane gave this a perfect 10. Robbie from last time gave this a 9. Jay Rucker gave this a perfect 10 out of 10. His top three were Wiped Out, Rip It Out, and Snowblind. Jay's dad also weighed in with a 9.5 out of 10. His top three, Speeding Back to My Baby, Snowblind, and Rip It Out. Jay's niece also came in with an 8 out of 10. Her top three, Rip It Out, New York Groove, Speeding Back to My Baby.
Jay's niece.
Yeah, Jay's niece. Yeah, turns out they also get a vote. We got votes from Thomas, Rain in Adamstown. Gave this an 8 out of 10. Top three, What's on Your Mind, Speeding Back to My Baby, and Rip It Out. We also got a perfect 10 from Jacob Hicks, an 8 out of 10 from Gianni Ottaviani. We got the 8.9 from Vance here, and also Robbie Starr's 9 from this time. So put all that together, and we end up with 8.6 average overall out of 10, which puts that pretty high.
But what you're getting ready to say is that everybody hates Rip It Out, right?
Yeah, that's totally what I'm gonna say. Is that Rip It Out got last place?
I noticed my top three were the same as well.
Yeah. I think mine were too. Or so. No, it was close. But yeah, that puts this in fourth place, behind Love Gun and Alive, and also Kiss and Rock and Roll Over were tied for second place. So yeah, pretty high up on the list there, fairly appropriate.
Where does it rank compared to last time? What did it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I will pull that information up because that is good. Last time it was an 8.9, so we're down. We're down from last time.
It's probably because of that 0.5 I gave it last time.
Yeah, dang it.
Was the Snowblind cover? I looked up Snowblind covers, and was it Lit that did it on the album Harry suggested?
It doesn't
Does that sound familiar?
What was it? Was he the one that suggested the Spacewalk album?
I think so. Harry was, yeah.
Okay, let's see. I've actually since acquired the physical CD, but it's probably just quicker to look on here. Jeff Snake's Soda
Okay.
did Snowblind on that.
Now see,
Space
that
Well, then no
sounds
wonder I liked
familiar
it.
now that you've said that.
I do remember how horrible Deuce was on that album, though.
Yeah, there were a couple of doozies.
Yeah.
I remember us talking a lot of crap about that album and Harry being really disappointed. there were a couple of good moments, but that was about it.
Yeah, but the good moments that were on it were like so good. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they were so good compared to like being like, yeah, they were okay. They were like
Absolutely.
great. Like
Okay, so let's see. In last place this time, which is 9th, we've got I'm in Need of Love. In 8th place, Wiped Out. Sorry, Steve. In 7th place, New York Groove. A lot of Kiss fans surprised to see that low, probably. In 6th place, Ozone. In 5th place, What's on Your Mind? And our top 4 for this week: in 4th place, Fractured Mirror. In 3rd place, Snowblind. In 2nd place, Speeding Back to My Baby. And in 1st place, of course, Rip It Out.
Well, first 3 tracks.
Yeah. Yep. So you guys know the drill too. It's become a thing now. You guys know, but if you didn't get your votes in already, go ahead and put them in. We don't have any problem with putting them in, even though the episode's over. We'll put them in and change the results. We want as many votes as possible. So put in your stuff, your overall, the list for the whole album in order from favorite to least favorite. We'll put it in there.
Yeah, Robbie and Vance, thanks for giving us your overall on this album. I mean, that goes a long way too.
Yep.
Well, that wraps up the episode then. Once again, we finally get back into the main discography, and Dynasty is the next up, of course. And so again, for anyone that kind of missed the beginning of the show, we discussed the announcement that Kiss made for New Year's Eve. So leave some comments and stuff. Let us know what you think about it, and if you plan on watching or not. And if you are going to watch, which package do you plan on ordering? Because there are quite a few, and they are pricey, some of them.
I'm planning on purchasing 7 of the $1,000.
Vance said he will do a list and put them in the comments later. Cool, man. Thank you.
Right on.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. I don't think there's anything else to hit on that we forgot. Any other news or whatnot. So, all right.
The only thing that I can think of that I would like to say is that I've only got a few weeks left before this baby is going to be here, and I might have to take a break for a little while until things get back to normal. But I still, even if I have to miss some of the next ones, I'll still make sure to do my ratings and all that stuff and listen to the albums and everything. Just because I don't know how I'm going to feel and how it's going to go yet. So I got just a few weeks left. So we will see how it goes.
Yeah. So everyone send the good vibes towards Savannah and Luke and the baby, and so yeah, totally understandable. We knew this months ago that this was going to come, so you may not see Savannah for a little while, but rest assured, hopefully with everything, she'll be able to come back and at least be on camera. So
yes.
She may have a baby on her teat, but
yeah.
I might too, for that matter. But
Yeah, you might as well.
Oh God, yeah. So yeah, we'll keep you guys posted on what's going on with all that good stuff. And again, we'll try to get this Twitter thing going so we can get these polls. But hopefully, Facebook will get its head out of its ass soon, and we'll be able to get those back on like we used to. So, all right, guys. So that's gonna do it. We'll see you next week for Dynasty. Take care. Everyone be safe. I know things are getting crazier again out there with all this sickness and COVID, and places are starting to put in the stay-at-home orders again. So everyone just be smart, safe, all that good stuff. And so we want to be able to chat with you guys. So hopefully you guys will swing by next week, and we'll see you for Dynasty. Till then, later.
Yeah.
Bye.